Deloitte. We had a partner level resource from Banwa and Igodalo. So the first administration saw a lot of support from the private sector, and we really fixed the engine running. That was the organic process.
It's Monday morning, and in a boardroom nestled within an office complex in the heart of Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, a team of young Nigerians are getting set for the day's business. This is Nigeria's Enabling Business Environment Secretariat, and these young men and women are part of an elite team tasked with the responsibility of coming up with ideas and solutions towards removing critical bottlenecks to doing business in Nigeria. Their work focuses on implementation of reforms aimed at making Nigeria a progressively easier place to do business.
Try to have a detailed plan to make sure that we're able to essentially speak to our demographic, our MSME.
Dr. Jumoke Odiwole heads the Secretariat, and together with her team of staff and volunteers, they assist ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, to implement the reform agenda of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, sir. May we have the national anthem, please? May we please kindly have our seats. Just last Monday, he was in Katsina State to represent Mr. President at the Northwest Security Summit. Same day, he left for Kano, and for 3 days, he mourned the death of his mother-in-law. On Wednesday, he came back to Abuja. Just yesterday again, for straight 5 hours, this noble leader and gentleman chaired the 142nd National Economic Council. And this morning again, in a rare show of real camaraderie and in the spirit of ensuring that the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is sustained and delivered to the letter, he is again present here with us. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause and welcome the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima, Gcon. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, you're most welcome, sir. Last year, in adherence to the renewed hope mandate as it relates to boosting business and investments in Nigeria, the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, said, and I quote, "We are committed to strengthening partnerships, encouraging efficiency and creating a suitable environment for investors. We're already working hard on security. We will improve efficiency across board for good inputs and outputs, and we will build a very friendly environment for growth and investments. We are open for business. We believe in partnership, and we will work with all those interested in the progress of Nigeria. End of quote. This, we are the words of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, shortly after taking office last year. Today, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, owing to Mr. President's commitment, transparency, and effective financial management, Nigeria has excelled in its Fitch rating outlook. Not relenting, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, sir, under our supervision and chairmanship, you earlier this year demanded the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, Pebec, to build a strong synergy from all stakeholders in both the public and private sectors to further enhance the business environment in Nigeria. This led Pebec to institute and kick off the 90-day regulatory reform acceleration action plan. The action plan underscores the commitment of the Tinubu administration to delivering impactful reforms to foster a conducive business environment in Nigeria. In fulfilling this charge, Your Excellency, and in pursuance of this government's commitment to further ease in doing business, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this morning I welcome you all to this special Pebec Town Hall meeting. My name is Stanley Nkwocha. I am the Senior Special Assistant to Media and Communications to Mr. President, and with all humility, I speak for the Vice President of Nigeria. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, with your kind permission then, may I commence this event and quickly proceed to recognize some of the guests for this governor stands out. Remarkably, in all he does, he aims for the best. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, joining you again as usual and as always does is the governor of Gombe State. The Attorney General of the Federation, Honorable Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, Your Excellency, sir, is also with us this morning. You're most welcome, Attorney General. Honorable Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Honorable Adegboyega Oyetola. Honorable Minister, you're also welcome. You're highly recognized, sir. The Honorable Minister of Budget and National Planning, His Excellency Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, is also here with us. Your Excellency, you're most welcome, sir. The Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, is also present here with us, Your Excellency, sir. The Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, is also here with us, sir. So also, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, is the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Anita Uzoka. You're most welcome, Ma, is also here with us. My boss, who guides us and ensures that everything goes on well at the Vice President's wing, the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, the most distinguished Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadija, is also present this morning. You're most welcome, sir. Permanent secretaries here present, members of the diplomatic corps present, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary Cabinet Affairs, Mr. Richard Bilongwa. Sir, you're also recognized. The Chairman, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa. Sir, a warm morning to you. You're highly welcome. Senior political aides to the President, present, Directors General, heads of extra-ministerial agencies and parastatals of government present, heads of security and paramilitary agencies of government present, elder statesmen and captains of industry present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this town hall meeting. It is not a day for much talking. May I just go straight to the business of the day. And to usher us into this program this morning is the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, in the person of Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadija. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much, Stanley. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, Gcon, Honorable Ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, heads of ministries, departments, and agencies, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the inaugural Pebec Town Hall meeting. hosted by His Excellency and Chair of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima. Pebec was established in July 2016 by the federal government to oversee Nigeria's business environment intervention, and it's a top priority of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in line with the 8-point renewed hope agenda of this administration. The third cohort of the council was inaugurated on November 16, 2023, with 24 members from all arms and levels of government. The Pebec Secretariat is responsible for the implementation of the Pebec mandate by working closely with all arms and levels of government, and has implemented over 180 verifiable business climate reforms since inception through the collaborative efforts of all stakeholders. On January 8, 2024, the Pebec released its 2024 Outlook document, which contained Nigeria's business and investment climate reforms through its 5 strategic pillars, namely the regulatory reforms, which is the implementation of the Business Facilitation Act 2022, legislative and judicial reforms, which comprise the establishment of small claims court in the 36 states and the FCT, the subnational state ease of doing business reforms, which is the ranking of states and the federal capital territory on how easy it is to do business at the state level, and the implementation of a first-of-its-kind $750 million Performance for Results State Action for Business Enabling Reforms, or SABER, program, co-designed by the Pebec Secretariat and the World Bank to improve the business environment at the subnational level. We also have strategic communications, which is a dissemination of information about the mandate and reforms, ensuring widespread awareness and comprehension among businesses and key stakeholders. And then the new Pebec Business Champions Program, an intervention program by the Pebec to provide direct support to 23 large businesses with over $1 billion in revenue, along with other medium to large enterprises to stimulate economic growth and development. The 90-day regulatory reform accelerator closely aligns with Pebec's regulatory reforms work pillar, focusing on 8 key indicators designed to deliver measurable growth across industries while institutionalizing MDA-led reforms through the BFA 2022 compliance. The 30-day extension of the accelerator granted by His Excellency on the 20th of May this year brought much-needed urgency on the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies to deliver outstanding reforms. Today, we are gathered to reveal the results of a culminative 120-day period of rigorous work by the MDAs to implement the much-needed reforms for Nigeria's business landscape. Our collective aspiration is that the reforms, along with the insight and learnings across key sectors to improve the Nigerian business environment, I'm confident that the deliberations and outcomes of this town hall will be in Nigeria.
Thank you, Dikos, for each and every program that goes out from the Vice President's office. For those of us who work closely with him, he's always there supporting and marshalling these events. Please, may we please once more recognize Dikos, please. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, sir, the lawyers would say, when they use their maxims, they will say, Nemo dot quod non habet. You can't give what you don't have. And I think it's only proper that I recognize, especially the woman who has put this together, a visionary, and a woman who, for those of us who will work with her, if you have an event with her, no sleep for you till that particular event comes to an end. Your Excellency, Mr. President, may I recognize Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, the Special Advisor to the President on Pebec and Investment. We appreciate you so much, man. Your Excellency, with your kind permission then, may I proceed to the next event and invite Mr. Taiwo Ajetumobi for his own presentation of the 90-day regulatory reform accelerator results. Mr. Taiwo, sir. Please, may we welcome him, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Your Excellency. Hall for the 90-day RRA and ease of doing business and investments. As introduced, my name is Taiwo Ajetomobi. I'm a Senior Special Assistant to the President on Pebec and Investments. I also double as the Chief Operating Officer of the Pebec Secretariat. So I will run us through a few slides that will sort of highlight the results of the work done so far. Next slide, please. So we'll run through 5 different sections: an introduction to Pebec, historical performance, the live tracking tool that we've used for this RRA journey, and then, of course, the result we've all been waiting for, and a few key takeaways. So Pebec has 2 mandates, and Pebec stands for Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. It has 2 mandates, and this dual mandate is essentially to address bureaucratic and legislative constraints to doing business in Nigeria, and to improve the ease and to improve the perception of ease of doing business. To do one without the other would essentially be as though you're blinking in the dark. And that forms the basis of the work that we do at the Secretariat. Next slide, please. I think we're having some technical difficulty. Next. The Pebec is comprised of very senior members of the government, chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, and includes membership of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Head of the Civil Service, 17 honorable ministers, governors, the Governor of the Central Bank, as well as representation from other arms of government, that is the legislature and the judiciary. In addition, we have membership from state governors representing other levels of government, and of course includes membership by the special advisor to the President on Pebec herself. Now, of course, we have many milestones, and we'll only speak to a couple of them. Pebec was inaugurated in 2016, and since then, we've successfully implemented over 180 verifiable business climate reforms. And now we are working as the 3rd cohort of the Pebec, which was inaugurated in November 2023, which once again demonstrates the seriousness of this administration's commitment to driving ease of doing business reforms across the country. The Secretariat works with all arms of government at the federal level and all levels of government. We also work directly with the private sector. In fact, we believe that a problem is only as defined by the private sector. We work with development partners and, of course, civil society groups. We have a 7-step process to our work, which starts with stakeholder engagement. And then we work with the MDAs to co-design the reforms that are to be done. Everything we do is with collaboration in mind. And of course, work with the MDAs to implement those reforms, to test them, to scale them up, and collaborate with private sector to validate the results of those reforms. And that is the only time when we do declare that victory has been achieved. And of course, on an ongoing basis afterwards, we continue to track the impact of those reforms. We work with over 53 MDAs in the federal government. This is just a slide with a few examples. You would notice the Corporate Affairs Commission, Nigerian Export-Import Bank, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, and the list goes on and on. Not by any means an exhaustive list. Now in 2024, Pebec is focused on 5 major work streams, 4 that we have rolled over from our prior work and a brand new work stream, which just before me, the Deputy Chief of Staff, my boss, spoke to. Now, the important thing to note is that the 90-day regulatory reform accelerator sits squarely within our regulatory reform work stream. We also do some work at the subnational level, supporting states to build their ease of doing business reform capabilities and structure in states. We also drive legislative and judicial reforms, as well as a significant amount of work in the communication of all the work being done at this level. Now, like I said, the regulatory reform accelerator sits squarely in our regulatory innovation and technology reform bucket. Now, perhaps we should level set by looking at previous performance of a similar accelerator. just to help generate an appreciation for what we have achieved here. The first Reform Accelerator was implemented all the way back in 2017, and as you can see, that resulted in pretty significant results, over 80% in performance. Some mixed results in the year following that, but we're very happy to announce that this Reform Accelerator has yielded the highest success level of all Reform Accelerators till date. 9 of 36 MDAs achieved 100% of their work. 21 MDAs achieved 80% of their work. That's more than half of the cohorts delivering on almost every single activity that they were supposed to. And about 30 MDAs achieved more than 50%. I think by any measure, this has been a great performance by this cohort of MDAs. Well done. So one of the things we deployed as part of our toolkit was a live tracker. And it's if anybody would like to see the results, please, we're very happy to unveil it. You can scan the QR code right in front of you on the screen, or you can also go online at bit.ly/R, A, tracker. So bit.ly/R, A, tracker. And there's quite a story to tell behind this tracker. So I'll just leave it up for another 5 seconds before we move forward. Okay, so these are the aggregate results of our 90-day regulatory reform accelerator. 3 important things to note. We started out slow, and that's fine. Everything is a journey, and this was our journey. We started out slow, and then really dug in with the MDAs, and it's important to also identify that the MDAs did all the work here. Pebec really just supported on the journey. At about the 70 or so day mark, previously we had been reporting every 2 weeks. So we would bring the MDAs together, have one-on-one sessions with them during the course of the journey, and then every 2 weeks we'll have essentially a mini town hall with MDA reform champions and their teams. And that 2-week reporting had generated some momentum. And then we decided to ask ourselves the question, what can we do differently? And we decided to put the overall tracking tool that we had online. What this means is that the reform champion can see live like everyone. The reform committee of the agency can see the results live. The head of the agency can see the results live. And of course, the supervising ministers can see the results live. And you can only imagine the momentum this generated across the cohort. So this went live on day 70, and quite a significant inflection point. So some lessons to be taken away from there. We got to the end of 90 days, and we were below our mark. And His Excellency, the Vice President, graciously granted a 30-day extension with a very strong charge to MDAs to really up their game. And did they do it, or did they do it? Congratulations. We have landed at, like I said, the highest single score of a reform accelerator in the history of Pebec and Nigeria. Now, the reform accelerator focused on 2 key outcomes. Number 1, to create a foundation that would drive productivity and competitiveness across industries. MDAs came from across different industries, and so the impact of these reforms will be felt across the entire economy, as well as to further institutionalize the reform capabilities within the MDAs, because of course, they are the ones doing the work. These 8 indicators are listed on here, and I will just quickly speak to them very briefly. So the first one was to review MDA SLAs, which required benchmarking. Each MDA essentially had to look at MDAs in other jurisdictions. Think of them as your competing MDAs and say, what do they do, how do they do, and how do I stack up against that? And that benchmarking exercise essentially resulted in a lot of SLAs being updated to bring them up to competitiveness, make the Nigerian economy much more competitive. The second thing was to drive transparency. So we have all this information in-house in government, but sometimes to the private sector, it's quite opaque. So the transparency elements, transparency reforms here was to put all this information online. For the average business in Nigeria, you can go online, you can see the list of services provided by an MDA, you can see the cost of applying or requesting those services, you can see the timeline in which your request will be processed, and you can see the procedure that the MDA would go through to deliver on the result. Very impactful transparency reforms. The next bucket of work was around efficiency, really digging into the processes behind service delivery and saying how many steps does it take in this particular MDA? Perhaps 5, perhaps 6. Well, if someone else somewhere is doing it with 3 steps, can we improve? Can we compete better? Now we will move to sort of more sectoral reforms. Reform indicator number 4 was to track entry and exit and improve customer experience at our ports of entry and exit. And if you can imagine, this is an interagency reform indicator, required quite a lot of collaboration, not just with institutions or MDAs like FAN, but every other government agency that is domiciled at the airport. Similarly, on the next reform indicator, which is to track port operations, it's a very complex reform indicator as well that requires collaboration across multiple agencies. The idea here was to streamline the import and export process, and we'll speak to some of the results later on in my presentation, and essentially try to get as close as possible to that 24-hour efficient port operations that we desire in Nigeria. My apologies. The last 3 reforms I will speak to very quickly. During the course of the RRA, His Excellency the President announced the institution of a National Single Window Committee. And so this reform activity was essentially to help prepare agencies that are relevant to that project to plug into the National Single Window. The last 2 reform indicators look at 2 key industries that are vital for the Nigerian economy, agriculture and manufacturing. And how do we translate all these reforms into improved, 1, export volumes in agriculture, and improved manufacturing volumes, especially for exports on the manufacturing side. Now I'll speak to the detailed performance. What you will see here is the equivalent of what we have on the live tracker. This particular data set will sit in the MDA performance ranking tab, and we'll start from the bottom. 4 of 36 MDAs achieved below 25% of activities. I think the message here is we're here to help. It's the beginning of a journey. Please do not be disheartened. Of course, it's important to name names. So as you can see on the screen, it's the Nigerian Immigration Service, Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering at EFCC, Pension Commission, and the Bureau of Public Procurement. I should also highlight that a week or 2 ago, the head of BPP was changed, so we are hoping for renewed vigor behind this of doing business reforms at BPP. It's a very important institution. The next category are agencies that scored between 25 to 50%. So showing some promise, showing that with a lot more effort, we can still move forward, we can get work done. The National Collateral Registry and the Bank of Industry, a bit concerning that these are 2 vital institutions in the financial services world. But like I've said earlier, it is a journey. We are in active engagements with the teams. They've worked very hard, and so we just have to double-click and see how do we move past the bottlenecks. Now we start to get into sort of higher performing agencies. Those that perform between 50 to 75%. But 9 agencies achieved this. So different levels of success, of course. A lot of the work that was done here was around transparency, taking all the services provided by the agencies, putting them online, not just on their website, on their channels as well, social media channels, and some work around efficiency reforms, streamlining their processes internally. Now, 10 of 36 MDAs performed above 75%. I think this is quite commendable, considering where we were at the end of 90 days. A lot of these agencies really doubled down and stepped up. For instance, at FIRS, a significant work was done around benchmarking FIRS services against other tax agencies in other jurisdictions. NCDMB, which manages local content in the oil and gas industry, also did quite significant work in that space as well. And of course, the list is there: Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, NERC, and on. Because I'm pressed for time, I will move quickly to the grand finale, the agencies that scored at the highest level of performance across a cohort of 36. I think every single one of these agencies deserves a very loud and very vigorous round of applause. You know, at Pebec, we say that anywhere in the world, 96% is an A. And we're very happy to see this extensive list. You know, 11 is significant. All very important agencies. A few examples are the benchmarking work done by Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service, basically pulling up, showing the courage to say we can compete with other agencies anywhere else, and we will make sure it's much easier to bring agricultural produce in and out of Nigeria. NIMASA, Nexim, I can go on and on. It's a very long list. Congratulations, everyone. All right. So we will like to land on key takeaways or lessons learned. 3 important lessons learned. Number 1, leadership matters. Leadership matters. In fact, leadership really, really matters. There are agencies in here that the only difference was the presence and the vigor of the leadership. Second is, it's all in the details. You know, the work we did with the agencies really drove down to specific things that each agency had to do. And the third is, what gets measured gets done. The tracker was a very powerful tool before. It became even much more powerful once it went online. Now we know that some agencies are already domesticating it to drive their own internal operations as well. So well done, we commend that. And I would like to land on Pebec's sort of institutional values, how we work, and how we will continue to work, what we're focused on. Number 1 is, it's not just reforms for now, it's to build institutional capacity across the entire government going forward. 2 is collaboration. Everything we do is with us in the background and with the agencies in front, and we truly win together. And the third is, this is like going to the gym. It's continuous improvement. There is no single goalpost that will stay stagnant. The moment we achieve 82.1%, we start thinking about the next IRA. So it's a moving goalpost, and it's all about.
Thank you very much, Taiwo. It's no surprise that Dr. Jumoke continues to excel and, of course, exhibit excellent results in all she undertakes. It is expected when you have very brilliant gentlemen like this. Taiwo just give us a comprehensive summary of Pebec, if you ask me, and I think he deserves a big round of applause, please. Your Excellency, with your kind permission once more, may I quickly recognize the very esteemed presence of the Permanent Secretary, State House, in the person of Engineer Funsho Adebe, is also here with us. Of course, too, Your Excellency, may I quickly also recognize the presence of Bamanga Usman Jadda. He is the Managing Director / CEO, Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority. He's also here with us. Good morning to you, sir. Dr. Ali Modibo, Special Advisor to the President, General Duties. Sir, your esteemed presence is highly recognized, sir. Thank you very much for coming. The Sodium Executive Director, representing the Group CEO of Zenith Bank, is also here with us. Victoria Wadoka, representing CEO of Nestle Nigeria PLC, is also here with us this morning. Ibrahim Imam, Group Corporate Strategist, representing Dangote Industries. Mr. Imam, your presence too is highly recognized. The DG of NIMASA, Dr. Dayo Moberiola, represented by the Executive Director, Abba Jibril Lawan, you're also recognized, sir. Not forgetting Dr. Latif Shitu, Director General, NGF, ably represented by Solomon Afun, the Cyber Project Coordinator, sir. At this juncture, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we shall be going in for a panel session. And who else better conduct this session than a known face? She is none other than Nancy Naji, who shines brightly as a prominent figure within Nigeria's media landscape, lauded for her substantial impact on journalism, financial literacy, and of course, economic progress. Nancy now commands the stage with her own Moneyline with Nancy, continuing on AIT. This acclaimed program not only delves into the intricacies of trade, commerce, and finance, but also serves as a platform for critical national and international dialogues. Through insightful interviews and thoughtful analysis, Nancy bridges the gap between policymakers and business leaders addressing key economic issues facing Nigeria. Your Excellency, the Vice President, her influence resonates globally, evidenced by her moderation of events for prestigious organizations, whole lot of industries. She is a fellow of leadership and professionalism. I've solidified her as a bishop. Allow me yield.
Your Excellency, the Vice President, governors here present, ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, just before we go into the panel session, let's quickly take a video clip, a media clip that is just like a minute or two, then we go into it.
It's Monday morning, and in a boardroom nestled within an office complex in the heart of Nigeria's capital city, Abuja, a team of young Nigerians are getting set for the day's business. This is Nigeria's Enabling Business Environment Secretariat, and these young men and women are part of an elite team tasked with the responsibility of coming up with ideas and solutions towards removing critical bottlenecks to doing business in Nigeria.
We are going to have more rounds of discussions where we get feedback directly from the field on the challenges the officers have with the implementation of trade facilitation efforts. And when we get those feedbacks with the data we have on ground already from previous reforms that we have implemented, we will look into, at the management level, reforms on our own end. We will try to adjust the reforms that have been given to suit the way we operate.
Looking at nothing to make sure that Nigerians have ease of travel through our airports, and this 90 days, ultimately is going to really, revive every effort we've been putting on ground. Thank God for the Pebec promise to, back us up, to bring all agencies within our airports to terms, with the agenda of ease of doing business.
One of the things that gladdens my mind is the focus on single window. Single window is a game changer. Once you launch single window, a lot of things will naturally fall into place. We are talking about corruption. We are talking about delays. Single window will bring a lot of changes positively. So we really look up to it. And I hope within the next 90 days, we'll have a running single window in this country.
Actually, my agency is always ready. We have been delivering for the last ranking. We were first.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Vice President, Senator Kashim, Shettima, Gcon, governors, ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Just before I bring in the panelists on stage, I just want to lay some ground rules while this panel session is indeed very significant. This panel will include representatives from 6 MDAs that have successfully completed 100% of their reforms during the 120-day regulatory reform accelerator action plan. This discussion that we'll be embarking on in a few minutes will explore the factors behind their success, emphasizing their unique strategies, internal organization, and the role of supportive leadership like Mr. Taiwo mentioned earlier. Panelists will share the significant reforms they implemented, the challenges they encountered also, and the impact on these reforms on service delivery, and of course the Nigerian economy, which I discuss every day. The discussion will also highlight the collaborative efforts, very significantly with the Pebec team, lessons learned from the reform process, and suggestions for enhancing future initiatives. So without much ado, let me quickly introduce my panelists. The first panelist is Dr. Odeme Akpan. He's a reform champion. He's from the Nigeria Tuti, who is also a reform champion from the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. Our third panelist from the Nigerian Securities and Exchange. Okay. I still have one panelist left. Started with Dr. Odeme Akpan. One is, of course, I would like to know what factors contributed to your MDA's success as a team, I was told. And how pivotal this team, the collaboration, how important was it in your team's success? So over to you.
Thank you so much. I would like to say that as an agency, we were focused in ensuring that we maintained our vision, which is to be the lead regulatory agency in Nigeria and also the first line of defense. Because we had this vision, and our vision was in line with the leadership of the organization, it was easy for us to pull through because we had a vision and we had a goal. And even beyond the 120 days RRA, we were certain that even after the 90 days RRA, we're going to go beyond this to maintain this standard in our service delivery. So as a team, we had a very strong team, which was made up of young, diverse, young people, strong, from different expertise. So what we did was we came together, we ensured we had one goal, one vision, and we ensured our productivity every day was accounted for. We also celebrated our small successes, even when we were still down the chart. We didn't give up. We still kept on the spirit. We knew that we had where we were going to, and it was important as an agency to still put our face and our eyes on the goal.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I'll come back to you later. I did say I was missing someone on the panel, so let me call Mr. Tebo Esuga, who is from the Nigerian Ports Authority. Please approach the stage. Thank you. All right, the second question would be for NIMASA. And the question would really be anchored around how did having a supportive leadership impact the quality and efficiency of your NDA's reform implementation, if we reflect on the RRA journey?
Thank you very much, ma'am. We're proud of our leadership in Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. When we started the RIA, they gave us direct organization momentum. At first, we started not too strong, but when they got involved, we give them regular update. In achieving that, we drew out a priority list on the reforms, and we arranged a chain at which we'll be able to address them, having in mind the target end day of the RIA. They gave us also expedite approval in terms of the sign-off once we're able to engage with the Secretariat to come up with the responses and the solutions that are quite required. They actually gave us a good support, having in the back of our mind the main purpose of what we intend to achieve at the end of the RIA. For example, in the marine industry, the target we want to attain is to make the blue economy
flourish. So most of the reforms that were put in place gave us a platform to keep the BFA on a foundation that will enable that blue economy journey to flourish.
Okay. Let me move over to Nexim. And one important thing also that I noticed is that Nexim was in the top 5 MDAs every week of the RRA. And in fact, was in the top 3 for 90 of the 120 days. How did you achieve this? And how did Nexim organize its RRA team internally to ensure consistent performance and delivery of the RRA?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let me say that the RRA started at a time when we, revalidated, our core values, because we just launched a strategic plan 2017 to.
Sorry, please, can you put on your mic? Is it on? Bring the mic closer to your mouth. Yes, thank you. Good, you can go ahead.
Is it better now?
Bring it closer to your mouth. Yes. Okay, go ahead now. Thank you.
Okay, so I was saying that we just launched a new strategic plan starting from 2022 for the next 5 years. And we just revalidated our core values, which is encapsulated in the acronym IMPACT. I for innovation, M for merit-driven, P for professionalism, A for accountability, and T for teamwork. So that helped us to embrace the RRA, such that we were able to think outside the box to see what we could do better. And as part of our activities, we are used to benchmarking ourselves, with similar organizations all over the world. We are an export credit agency, and if we want to be the best, which is what we decided to do in our vision says we want to be the leading export development bank in Africa. So for us, that meant that we have to benchmark ourselves with what happens in other parts of the world. So we did that. We looked at how we can continuously improve our processes. Export is a time-sensitive transaction, so which meant that turnaround time was important for us in loan application, in loan appraisal, in loan processing, and in getting feedback to customers. So we looked at that and see what we could do better. Then in terms of our team, of course, we have a dedicated team that looks at performance management. Okay, for every of our activities across the bank, we have developed KPIs, which we measure, on weekly basis. And of course, the role of leadership comes in here. Like Mr. Taiwo said, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. So we generate weekly reports, which goes right up to the level of the managing director, who is also very focused on this. Now, anytime we get a report that is less than adequate, I get summoned, and you know what that means? That means I will pass the pressure, down also to my team members, such that we were also always on top of our games. So that helped us. We had a dedicated team, but when the RRA came on board, we had to expand that team to also invite other members from the time. We reviewed our activities and saw, looked at what we needed to do better. So that helped us to achieve the consistent performance.
All right, let me move over to the NPA, the 100%. And what is the impact of these reforms?
Nigerian Ports Authority had, on the average, I think double the number of activities to reform than most of our other teammates, our other colleagues. So averagely, we had about 63 or 64, whereas every other person had maybe like 30. First task was to realize that we had almost double the work that every other person had to do. So strategies, we dug in from day one, and sincerely, with all humility, we did that. Pebec will support this claim. So right from the beginning, the meetings, the assignments, the deadlines, the timelines set by Pebec, we dug in as a whole team from day one. Second strategy we had was support from chief executive and management team. Okay, so they say that a fish starts to rotten from the head. So it starts and ends with the leader for us. Our MD dug in right from the beginning. You know you have your work cut out for you when your MD calls you at about 2 a.m. or sends you a message and is asking for the update on your reforms. So for us, the leadership was in place. We escalated issues to the MD, our chief executive. He in turn escalated to the Honorable Minister. We had the Honorable Minister's support. He had the Honorable Minister's support as well. It went as far as the Honorable Minister convening meetings. At some point, we come to the ministry, all the agencies. So we had real support from leadership. That was very key. That assisted us as well. We were consistent, we were dedicated, we were dogged. Reform is not an easy thing anywhere in the world because it's always met with resistance. The laws of physics tell you that there is resistance from an object to want to continue where it is, in simple terms. So there had to be doggedness, there had to be stubbornness. We quarreled once in a while, even with Pebec. There are times we were more or less in a boxing ring, but now we're happy everybody is embracing each other. So doggedness, the determination to succeed. We set internal targets as well. Where Pebec will tell us do something in 3 days, we'll cut it down to 1 day or day and a half. So internal targets helped us as well. And mostly, again, to be honest, the figures are fantastic. But like we discovered in the Ports Authority, the real reform starts from the head. So it's the reform in the mind that is the most important thing. There has to be that passion. You have to really want to see the change. And there just has to be that undying desire to see that things improve in the way you do business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is for NCS. And Controller, over to you. By day 90, your overall score was 97%. And after the extension by the Vice President, your agency got to 100%. How did that happen? And can you describe for me specific steps that the NCS took after day 90 to accelerate that success? And what was the role of leadership in achieving this?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam. Nigerian Customs is lead agency in trade facilitation globally. And Nigerian Customs is an active player in the WCO, that is World Customs Organization. So, yes, at the end of the 90 days, we realized our score was just 9.7, not up to 10%. And we felt it is a big challenge because Customs is the co-chair of the National Trade Facilitation Committee, which is saddled with the task of ensuring that business is facilitated in the country. Now, if at the end of the rating we are scored only 9.7, then that means there is a problem somewhere. So it poses a challenge to us. So the Comptroller General now called our team and said we have to look down and see where and how do we get it wrong. Because most of our operations, almost 97 are automated. So why do we fail? Where are we likely to fail? So he sat down with us physically and we drew up measures to take. One of the first measures we did was we realized there was a disconnect between our team and the Pebec team. So after mapping our strategies, the first item on the agenda was to engage the Pebec to sit down and understand ourselves, for us to understand what the RRA is all about, and for them to understand what our operations are. Now, that helped a lot, and after the engagement, we now decided to give ourselves a target of 20 days out of the 30 days, that whatever happens within those 20 days, we must finish our reforms. And it went on like that. And to the glory of God, by the 20th day, we have finished all our reforms and submitted, and we are just waiting for the validation from the Pebec team. The CGC was at any minute, at every point within those 20 days. We were on and up, always up and down, trying to see that we have done what we should do. And to the glory of God, that's where we are today. Maximum support we need. There is nothing we demanded that we didn't get. And I think that helped a lot to ensuring that we achieve the 100% by the end of the day.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause, because it's worthy of notes to say, in fact, the score was 9.7%. So to 100%. But now the next question is
very much to regulate the market. The second one is it's excellent service delivery, customer service, efficiencies, and all the processes around that. And most important driver to success for us, it was the new DG. Leadership, I think it was mentioned when the results were being delivered. That's a critical success factor in trying to bring about reforms. For us, that is 100% why this happened. You can talk to the team at the back. You can talk to my team in strategy. The new DG called everybody, called the HODs and myself and say, guys, you got to get cracking. And we got cracking. So it was primarily a renewed focus on service delivery, a renewed focus on the vision and the promise that the capital market holds. And the DG believing that and driving that from inception to say, you know what, we occupy a pivotal role in the economy to not only try to be an enabler to source and facilitate long-term capital to priority sectors in the economy, but also to really make the capital market that anchor to which we can really drive the growth of this economy. So to answer your question directly, is the DG, myself and the team, rallying around the DG to look at the processes that we have and to really focus on turnaround times, because that has been one of the key, so that is a key concern for the DG, and it falls squarely into the work we do. So again, DG and team, we woke up, we rose up, and we got it.
I'd like to ask and to know what kind of support. Yes, what does it mean?
Very much. So I would like to say that from the got along, we had a one-on-one interface, which actually helped us with our reforms, especially when we needed them to explain more about the reforms so that we could get better understanding. And also there was a robust monitoring and evaluation tracker we had, which was very helpful also to carrying out the reforms we had for NEQS. The Pebec secretariats were really helpful because there are times where you needed them and maybe they're busy. They make out time to actually have this personalized call with us, interface with us, and ask what our challenges were. So I would like to also now, what we do is to issue certifications for it to meet international standard outside the country. That's what we do.
Right. I'm to stop the panel in just less than 2 minutes. So, Dr. Tuti, just very quickly, what did you do differently to improve the...
When the reforms, we equally gauge position to welcome.
Less than 30 seconds. Okay.
You know, we are basically...
30 seconds. Okay.
You know, we are basically, we already did benchmark and said, okay, how can we improve for
that? How do you ensure launch?
Can we improve for
that? How do you ensure launch?
Careful support, implement them fully.
So you can still talk about
implement them fully.
So you can still talk about it. Also has to collaborate with other agencies.
And most importantly with the Minister of Finance and Coordinator of the Economy, because of as our supervising minister. Then we have a collaboration as well with agencies like the NPA, PAN, and a lot of other agencies that operate in the seaports.
All right. The next question will be for Dr. Mo. What key lessons did you learn? Even though you were slow learner, what key lessons? Very quickly.
Yes, thanks, and really from time to time. You have a target, you go back and revise it, and you work together. I think it was teamwork, collaboration, and a strong and relentless focus on results.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our panelists. No, you still sit back a bit because I think we're getting into the next segment. So not to worry, just sit down. We're getting now into the town hall discussion, which is very integral. And let me just lay a few ground rules. This town hall will just be for the next few minutes. We've heard from the MDAs here, and I know there are also other MDAs, even in the audience. I see that we have many DGs of other MDAs here present too. This town hall is specifically designed for us to engage in an open and constructive dialogue that addresses the concerns and expectations regarding reforms. We've heard what Mr. Taiwo from Pebec earlier has said. We've also heard what you told us earlier. We recognize that this next segment, which is the town hall session, is crucial for MDAs to listen to the grievances and complaints of Nigerians and also get feedback. And during this next session, the town hall session, I encourage you all in the audience to ask questions, to share your experiences, to provide feedback on the reforms that you expect to see, as your impact will also help shape the next round of reforms. Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, the Special Advisor to the President of Pebec and Investment, is here. DGs are here, ministers are here, so that we can all listen to ourselves and constructively give ourselves our feedback. So I expect questions, feedback also from the private sector represented here, businesses, non-government stakeholders, government guests as well, development partners. Please also note that you can submit your comments as well as your complaints online to report.gov.ng, and Pebec will collate all your submissions and harness them for the next round of our reforms. You can also visit the website at www.pebec.gov.ng. You can also visit report.gov.ng and all their social media handles. On Instagram, it's at businessmadeeasyng, and on other social media platforms, it's at pebec.gov.ng. So this next segment should be interactive. I'm looking forward to it. Let's work together to create a more business-friendly and attractive environment. So the town hall begins now. So I would appreciate that the mics will be in the room. The way it's going to go, you would raise your hand, you will say your name and your designation, and you have less than 1 minute to ask your question or give a feedback. Dr. Jumoke is in the room. Mr. Taiwo is in the room, DGs are in the room, ministers are in the room, so we can actually take your questions as well as feedbacks. I would also like to hear from Pebec champions, Pebec business champions, as well as NECA, if NECA is in the room, if telcos are in the room. These are people that actively do business here in Nigeria. Let's know where the shoe pinches you. So the town hall starts now. Please, is the mic available now? Who bells the cat? Okay, I can see. We'll take, good. I can see the reactions are coming. We'll take the first 4 questions, 2 from this side, then we can take 2 from this side. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Your Excellency, sir, all protocols observed. My name is Tobechukwu.
Sorry, please, can you amplify? We can't hear you.
My name is Tobechukwu Okibo. I'm Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer for MTN Nigeria. First, just one question. I've listened to how the people sitting on the panel has done so well to get to the high percentages. Can somebody please expatiate on how that has actually contributed to ease of doing business for organizations? That would be the first question. My second question will be around regulatory certainty. We have a lot of regulatory...
Sorry, please, can you be a bit more audible? We're struggling to hear you here. Yes.
Okay. My first question is how all the success that we have spoken to has actually translated to ease of doing business for organizations. And my second question is, speaks to regulatory certainty, where in doing business you have overlapping regulatory authorities. Is Pebec doing anything to seek a way to ensure that regulatory authorities collaborate with each other? I note that in the presentation that was made, the last 3 pillars that was spoken to, the middle one was collaboration. What is Pebec doing about that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was a second hand in front, yes? Please bring the mic to the front. Thank you. And please, the questions should be around what we're doing here today and the mandate of Pebec. It shouldn't be a question around what the mandate of Pebec, what is not the mandate of Pebec. Yes, thank you. Please go
Thank you very much, His Excellency. All protocol duly observed. My name is Dr. Meka Asebu, Assistant Controller General of Quarantine. Mine is not a question, but in line with the question you asked my colleague up there about NAQS, which she answered very well. I just want to add, apart from facilitating trade, NAQS, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, is also an agency mandated to safeguard the nation against diseases and pests of agricultural importance. It's very important we know that, because apart from us doing that, it's the disease aspect and pest that brings good marketing and strategy to this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, because that was not a question, actually. All right, let's come to this side of the room. I see 2 hands here, please. And please, this town hall is really about asking questions. I would really like the audience, business organizations, private sector, to ask questions, not really about government. You know, you should be hearing feedback from Nigerians that you serve. Thank you.
Morning all. I stand on existing protocol. My name is Lady Constance A.K. from Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority. I want to thank God for the opportunity of participating in this Pebec Town Hall meeting. I want to bring into light our experience. We deal with...
Okay, excuse me, ma'am. I'll need to cut you short here. We have ground rules. We don't want to hear from MDAs now. What this town hall is really about is to hear from Nigerians. It's not about government praising yourselves. Do you understand what I mean? So please, let's get questions from Nigerians that are here, doing businesses, small businesses. That is what reforms are all about. Thank you. Please, another hand, someone that wants, good. Thank you. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ibrahim Imam. I work at Dangote. I do group corporate strategy at the Dangote Group. I don't have a question this morning. I have a comment. It's quite interesting what Pebec is doing. I think that largely most businesses, large, small, medium scale, have the same peculiar kind of concerns, which are annually, and have something that expects your businesses as the years stretch on. It might give you ideas about diversifying mergers, acquisitions, even increasing capacity in some form. So it's a very nice initiative, setting up Pebec, and I like what I heard here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have also the BUA group.
Sorry?
BUA, the BUA group.
Thank you. You chose to introduce me. Thank you. Your Excellency. My name is Engineer Dele Abue. I represent the BUA group. I'm the Managing Director for BUA Foods PLC, one of the foremost food business in Nigeria. My question is to request from the panel members the result we've seen and the activities you've carried out. When should we, as organized private sector, begin to see the effect? And of course, we are happy to see that we have an opportunity to give feedback and also to report through the digital platform what our experiences are. But when should we begin to see what we actually want to feel the effect of all of these reforms that has happened? Because it's one thing to have it done, it's also another thing to see it being executed and implemented on the front line. Thank you.
Sorry, please, I'll crave your indulgence to speak again because I can see that the panelists couldn't hear you.
I'll keep it simple. The work you have done, quite excellent. We're very enthusiastic about it. It will help to promote what we do on the organized private sector, as we did say. What we are asking is when should we begin to see the effects in terms of execution and implementation?
Let's quickly go into
Technical Cooperation, GIZ, as the business enabling environment advisor. A lot of the
would be next to present, so I guess she would also answer questions around the ease of doing business and the question around the regulatory certainty that the person that asked from MTN. The question around turning effects into reality, that's what you discussed earlier in terms of putting it into reality. That would also be answered, I guess, from Dr. Jumoke when she comes up. There's also one very important issue which was raised, that how do we begin to see this framework, all of the things that the MDAs are doing, how do we begin to see the frameworks cascade into states? Because states are really where those businesses are. So how is the federal government going to, get the states involved to make business more friendly and attractive in states? As well as the lady from UBA asked, the institutionalization of the reforms. And I know I asked a question around that earlier in terms of longevity of the reforms. How do you institute those reforms? I think the majority of these questions will be answered by Dr. Jumoke Oduwole. Okay, Dr. Jumoke is saying we should go ahead. Okay, so it's really more hands for questions. Then after that, I guess Dr. Jumoke will come and answer those questions too. Do we have other questions?
Yes, please. Good morning.
Good morning. We can't see you from here.
Over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So my name is Christian Anyuku. I'm a partner at Strand and Blanc Partners. I'm a lawyer and I work for several companies, especially international clients. So I'm going to speak to my own area of practice and experience. And I don't know why this particular department is not being mentioned. That is the Commercial Law Department of the Ministry of Trade and Investment, right? So this department is actually very important for doing business because before most companies come in, they have their trademarks or patents and all registered. And for some, products that require NAFDAC licenses for importation, you need a trademark to process the license. Now, this particular trademark, getting our certificate is totally down. Most certificates, in fact, presently do their businesses if they cannot protect their intellectual property. So it's very, very important to be addressed. And then on the second aspect of it is the collaboration between hard copy letters, courier it from Lagos to Abuja and all that. And I asked myself, why wouldn't there be like a single window or something that a NAFDAC officer can simply, test somebody in a trademark registry to confirm this certificate? Same thing happens with FCCPC, going round and round to confirm documents issued by another government agency that would have been made very easy.
Thank you very much for that. Very, very important. Any other question in the room? I can see some hands at the back.
Good morning. My name is Judith Tietie. I'm here on behalf of NECA and on behalf of the members of NECA. I have this question from one of our members. He says that what is Pebec doing with regards to fast-tracking dispute resolutions at the area commands for businesses as it regards ease of doing business? Thank you.
Okay. So the question is around dispute resolution. Did I get you right? Okay. Next question, there's still a hand at the back. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Eze Obianuju. My question is for Pebec. Thank God for the 90 days RRA drive that have enabled all agencies and MDAs to produce an SLA. Then when it comes to a unique work environment like FAN, I'm a Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, where you have different agencies, working under different umbrellas. Is there any future plan for Pebec to develop an SLA that will guide operations of these agencies so that, because as FAN, whatever I do is being complemented by what customs and other agencies do within the airport. So I would like Pebec to look towards organizing an SLA for these agencies to work and remove some bottlenecks that will affect, people on at port of entry into Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The question is around collaboration with other agencies so that one other agency doesn't stop your own advancement of work, as it were. Okay. Next question, I can see. Okay. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kemi Ashiru from Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC, and I'm interested in knowing what Pebec is doing in the area of standards harmonization to facilitate exportation.
Sorry, please, can you be a bit more audible?
Okay, yeah, I was just in environment board.
Okay, I think we can end really on this note, and Dr. Jumoke will be coming up soon, but the questions that we've gotten now, which is very important, are questions around online platforms, certificates gotten online, and I think that the Trade and Investment Minister is here. The department concerning trademarks and IP are also here, so I think they should have taken note of that. Questions around certifications for NAFDAC too. Perhaps representatives of NAFDAC are also here. NECA asked a question around dispute resolution. Dr. Jumoke would be talking about that in a bit. FAN talked about collaboration amongst other agencies. Then Flour Mills raised the issue around the platform. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really about hearing us all the town hall for one reason, to get feed bombs with the MDAs. So thank you very much, panelists, and thank you all for your questions, comments, as well as your opinions. So please, a round of applause, Your Excellencies, governors, ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. At this juncture, let me bring on stage the Special Advisor to the President on Pebec and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, MFR. Please, can we give her a round of applause?
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for the panelists. Your Excellency, the Vice President, members of the Pebec, let me stand on the very well adumbrated protocols by my colleague, the SSA on Media, to the Vice President. I'd like to thank the private sector for being here, but let me start with appreciating the 36 ministries, departments, and agencies who contributed to delivering this work, along with my team, the Pebec Secretariat. The heads of agencies, the ministers, the permanent secretaries. This is a journey, as Taiwo said, and we did preempt a bit of what has been spoken about here. So I do have some pre-prepared remarks. But let me first speak to the questions and the comments that were raised in the room just now. So number one, Tobechukwu Okibo from MTN. How have the reforms been successful in contributing to the impact for businesses? One of our key mantras is what gets measured gets done. So it is when you businesses tell us that you have felt the impact of the reform that is when we have the final tick. You'll notice that no awards are being given out today. We'll be recognizing some of the hard work, especially the journey to 100. But it is really when businesses tell us that they're beginning to feel, and this has been an 8-year journey. We've had a proven track record of over 180 verifiable reforms that private sector has said to us. For instance, automation on registering a business or reserving a business name. It worked. When there were challenges, they said it's no more working. We went back to CAC, back to the drawing board, and we go back and forth, 3 steps forward. I wouldn't say 2 steps back. So it's really about when you tell us that you're feeling the impact, and please do mention it, please do encourage our colleagues because they put in a lot of hard work. There's a communication lag, there's a distrust, and we continue to work and be here, led Mr. Dangote Group. And we look at daily and state government, yeah. But is the chair. We have a debt management office, C17, $50 million. For states, there's a program that was investment indicators, this is the governor of Gombe State. Is a 2-time investment indicators, this is the governor of Gombe State. Is a 2-time winner of the rankings of ease of doing business report. The Pebec was released in March of 2023. Gombe again came first. The 3rd edition, yes, they do deserve a round of applause. The process for the 3rd edition is ongoing. It will be released by God's grace in March of 2025. So the states are very close collaborators. We actually have some state reform champions in the room as well. And we all continue to make sure that we deepen these reforms and cascade them because businesses are domiciled in states. Mr. Abubakar Ahmed from GIZ. GIZ is an institution that has also partnered with the Pebec in the past. So that basically speaks to what you were talking about. Miss Ire Charles Osamede from UBA, institutionalization of the reforms. This is one of the key tenets of the Pebec. And you saw it from the ending slide that Taiwo presented. It starts from the political will. It starts from His Excellency, Mr. President. You can see His Excellency, the Vice President and Chair of Pebec, here at huge personal cost to really chair. He's here in his capacity because of his commitment as the Chair of Pebec. And you also see several Pebec members sitting on the front row. This is why we're able to do what we do, the political will, and then the several ministries, departments, and agencies, the support from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, from the head of service, from the agency head, a lot of them very committed, from the permanent secretaries. I really must mention the permanent secretaries, very committed to this intervention. I must also thank, there's a lot of back-end work that goes into institutionalization. The Accountant General of the Federation, make sure that our wheels are well oiled. The Honorable Minister of Finance, the work takes money. And so we have back-end, we have support. The Permanent Secretary of the State House, we're domiciled within the Office of the Vice President. There's a lot of back-end support. All my colleagues from the Office of the Vice President, partnering with the Pebec Secretariat and the government as a whole, all arms and levels of government. We have a Supreme Court Justice who is the reform representative for the judiciary on the council. We have a distinguished senator who is the National Assembly representative on the council, apart from His Excellency, the Governor of Gombe and the Governor of Kwara State, who are also members of the council. So cascading downwards, it's a whole government of Nigeria intervention, and I really want the private sector to be sure about that there's commitment, there's sustainability, and it's a concrete attempt to continue to deliver continuous improvement. I'd like to thank Mr. Christian Anyaoku, a lawyer, for your comment. It's a fair comment. We get a lot of complaints about the Commercial Law Department of the Ministry of Trade and Investment, Industry, Trade and Investment, the Trademarks Department, The Honorable Minister is aware. She's been hard at work at this. The Permanent Secretary, we had a meeting with him, with the team, and we work with the Trademarks Registry very closely as well. This is something that we continue to take the feedback. Just yesterday and today, we're at the section of Business Law Nigerian Bar Association. We have a booth there to speak to lawyers and to also let them know what they're doing in terms of the Business Facilitation Act of 2022, which codified the first executive order of the last administration. And we continue to push for the implementation of that and other judicial, legislative, and bureaucratic reforms. Again, very fair comment about the service level agreement, what we've referred to as SLAs. And when you mention the service level agreement between trademarks and NAFDAC, or between these are very known bottlenecks that's part of what's been benchmarked in the last 90 days and 120 days. So the ministries, departments, and agencies continue to have those discussions. Yes, to be candid, there are a lot of turf wars. Yes, to be candid, there's room for a lot more collaboration, which is why it takes presidential and very high level, the cabinet intervention, to make sure that the boots on the ground, the public officials and civil servants understand the importance of not being a gatekeeper, of collaborating and ensuring that we deliver on the cost. We bring down the cost of doing business in Nigeria. We bring down the time it takes to do business, and we make sure that it's transparent doing business in Nigeria. We do this by working on people issues, on processes. That's why we have a lot of automation, and to a lesser extent, infrastructure, because all the honorable ministers and their portfolios also speak to the larger hard investments in this area. Ms. Julie Ete from NECA, thank you for being here. NECA are one of our partners at the Pebec. They account for a huge number of employers and the jobs they create. Dispute resolution, one of your members asking that, what is the Pebec doing? Since 2018, the Pebec has instituted a reform for small and medium-sized enterprises in form of a small claims court. We started with the Lagos State Judiciary, the magistracy, in 2018, and to date, 31 states across the country now have small claims courts for commercial disputes. What these small claims courts do is they allow self-representation, they have relaxed rules of evidence, and I'd like to thank the judiciary for working with the Pebec Secretariat to make sure that there's adoption, the rules, and the private sector lawyers and judges who have supported, some have actually gone onto the bench, in training magistrates and making sure that lawyers can cascade this information. There's no need for an amount of liquidated damages under 10 million naira to be clogging up the high court. So those kinds of disputes, a litigant can easily buy the form. It's about 1,000 naira, fill it, you go to the magistrate's court, there's no adjournment. The case is heard, and within 60 days, it has to be determined, and within 90 days, execution. So those are some of the things we're doing with the judiciary. But then again, I mentioned that Justice Abubakar, Justice of the Supreme Court, is a member of the council, and there are a lot of other initiatives that are also going on in terms of judicial reforms. Ms. Obianuju, Eze Obianuju, I think I've spoken to collaboration and service level agreement. You're with FAN. We know your challenges. At the airport, a lot of people think that the problems have to do with FAN, but there's several other agencies. Some are paramilitary, and so FAN is not able to engage with them at a similar level. Let me, for want of a better word, call it a bit of bullying. So FAN and the Honorable Minister of Aviation also held meetings. He couldn't be here today, but he was a very active minister on this intervention, and has also, as a member of the council, appealed to the council and members of the council that all the other agencies that work with FAN in the airports, and I guess the same goes for NPA and customs at the seaport, should all be at the same page to deliver for the Nigerian people. And Ms. Kemi Ashiru of Flour Mills of Nigeria, on standards harmonization to facilitate export promotion. I'm aware that the CEO of Nigerian Export Promotion Council is here. The representative of the CEO of Standards Organization of Nigeria is also here. These are some of the collaborative issues that we continue to discuss amongst us as colleagues through the work of the Pebec Secretariat. With that, I think I've addressed all the questions, but we'll continue to take more. There's one more? No? Okay. So let's go on to today, as we presented the results of the first regulatory reform accelerator, and we've heard from the 6 top performing ministries, departments, and agencies on how they went to their journeys to reach 100%. We've also listened closely to you, our stakeholders, and the beneficiaries of the reforms as we collectively seek to establish and entrench them within all levels of government in Nigeria. So after the past 120 days, after a slow start, we're glad to see that indeed out of 1,187 activities across 36 agencies spanning 14 ministries, 876 of them were successfully completed. So we commend the MDAs for the hard work. And these reforms are not merely, yes, you can actually clap for them. They did a lot of hard work. So the reforms are not merely cosmetic. They form a critical part of the Pebec's mandate as an enabler for the 8-point agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, particularly through concrete support to businesses operating in Nigeria. So the important issues raised here today, both in the room and online, will be distilled into further reforms for our next regulatory reform accelerator, which will start in September of this year. So prior to this, the Pebec Secretariat is already in the process of commissioning an independent empirical verification report based solely on feedback from private sector stakeholders, either corroborating or disputing the expected effect and impact of the reforms that have been delivered over the last 120 days, which will be ready and made publicly available within the next 60 days. So while we acknowledge the hard work, it's critical to recognize the complexities and the challenges that remain, both locally and globally. There have been a lot of headwinds and turbulence characterized by rapid uncertainties and changes. So businesses of all sizes have told us that it's getting tougher to do business for a variety of reasons, and the enabling policies needed for the landscape. So we've recently been exposed to a few turbulent ones, like cybersecurity charges and expatriate quota levies, and we continue to assure you that Mr. President is committed to making sure that whatever it takes, we're going to get the work done. Oh dear. Okay, let me just go straight to commend His Excellency the Vice President for his unwavering support and visionary leadership. I say this particularly because he granted the 30-day extension. When you have leadership that listens, we were at 44.2% on day 90. And he granted 30 days extra, but he said the 30 days must count. And today, the agencies finished at 82.1%. So I'd like to thank you, Your Excellency, for that agility in leadership. And I'd like to just go on now to do the recognitions, because I know time is fast spent. It is therefore my honor and delight to announce the following recognitions and to please ask them to stand for applause. So the most consistent agency, that's Nigerian Export-Import Bank. The agency is headed by Mr. Abba Bello, and was in the top 3. You've heard their story already. Top 3 throughout for 90 days. Most improved agency will be Nigerian Customs Service, that moved from Comptroller General, we just want to appreciate you, moved from 9.7% and finished at 100%. The most committed, with the most activities, the Nigerian Ports Authority. He is a tenacious leader. He did not stop. He never gave up. He was the one that would call at 2 a.m. and send messages and ask why it's happened, why it's not happened, even when he was in China. And the results were there. The team that was consistency and quality delivery, exemplary team, that would be Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. And I know also what the Honorable Minister put in to make sure it happened. So please rise. Thank you very much. And also the Nigerian NIMASA, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Please rise for the recognition. Now, the first agency to reach the 100% mark, they insisted the first among equals is the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. The Honorable Minister, you need that applause.
Yes,
you
yes,
need to. He broke the news to me to tell you how they were tracking the tracker. I learned that one agency had reached 100%. They told him immediately, he told us, and we celebrated it because it was our celebration as well. Now, the overall best performing ministry is the Ministry of Maritime and Blue Economy. The Honorable Minister, he convened a meeting with all the agency heads, and he says, no, this cannot be. We have to finish tops, and they made it happen. So he and the agencies, thank you so much, sir. That was really exemplary leadership. That brings me to the end of the recognitions. It's now my privilege and honor to invite His Excellency, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, to come and give us the charge to take us home. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the most distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON.
Kindly sit down, please. Kindly. Tai was the special assistant, the senior special assistant. Wore a sneaker, and when I wore a sneaker to the NBA conference, they made a mincemeat of me. So at the next NBA conference, be rest assured that I will again wear a sneaker and go there. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Gombe State and Chairman, Northern States Governors Forum, Alhaji Muhammad Inwa Yahya Damma Gombe, indeed one of the unsung heroes of the ease of doing business in Nigeria, and one of our leaders who prepares anonymity and always attends less glamorous events. Your Excellency, thank you so much, and we are mightily proud of you for consistently coming on top amongst your peers in terms of ease of doing business. Congratulations. And Dr. Jumoke, you ought to have celebrated him as well and give him an award. I want to use the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, as my point of reference to recognize and appreciate all my colleagues from the Federal Executive Council. The Deputy Chief of Staff to Mr. President, Special Advisors to Mr. President, Permanent Secretaries, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the Accountant General of the Federation, and of course, from heads of MDAs, that my friend Stanley Okocha, while he was busy acknowledging the presence of representatives of heads of MDAs, we have a Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, we have the MD of NPA, we have the ND of NIDA, and we have the ND of NIMASA, who went on unrecognized. So my apologies, and for all the MDAs and other heads of extra ministerial agencies, please, you are hereby recognized and appreciated. And I want to select for special recognition General Mohammed Uba Marwa. I was an undergraduate when he was the governor of my state, Borno State, in the 80s. He's an elder statesman. An elder statesman and captains of industry, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is not a talk show. It is a rescue mission for a nation that entrusts each of us with the critical role of creating an environment where every idea can germinate into an enduring business. Our success is not merely a matter of policy, but is measured by its impact. From the small-time trader in Kapanchan to the large corporation on Lagos Island. Today, I feel the pulse of our collective desire to make this objective a reality. No matter the depth of the reforms we introduce, our goals will remain out of reach unless our ministers and their ministries, departments and heads of parastatals and agencies of government function at their base and align seamlessly with our agenda. I am therefore excited to share that our public sector reforms have achieved a collective score of over 80% at the beginning of the 90-day regulatory reform accelerator. I want to thank our ministers and heads of parastatals for doing an awesome job. Leadership counts, and I want to commend Dr. Jumoke Oduwole for the stewardship. Despite a slow start, the collective commitment and actions of every minister, head of agency, reform champion and BFA committee member have significantly increased reform implementation during the 30-day extension. We are the vehicles of the promises made by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. The regulatory reform accelerator is an avenue to inject life into our economy and renew the hope of our nation. The quality of your ideas and the intensity of your energy today are the very sparks we need to stay on track and to always remind ourselves of the burden of expectations upon us. As we reflect on the measurable outcomes of the regulatory reform accelerator, I urge all stakeholders, particularly the MDAs, to build on the gains of the past 120 days with a sense of urgency and purpose. We must continue improving Nigeria's business environment through timely feedback, rigorous monitoring, and shared responsibility. We must align with the vision of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, and ensure that our pursuit of a business environment that fosters innovation, creativity, and productivity is built upon the pillars of the 8-point agenda. Today, we stand on a robust foundation, recognizing that achieving Pebec's mandate directly contributes to our shared economic prosperity as a nation. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have never had it so good in terms of leadership. The President means well for the nation. And most importantly, he is imbued with the skill set to drive change and progress in this country. When the President stumbled at the May 29 celebration, it's not only disheartening and disenchanting, but stupefying and heartbreaking that some of our countrymen were celebrating. But I dare to put it to you that the hallmark of true leadership is not the ability to lift a bag of cement, but the capacity to come up with robust ideas to solve a nation's problems. One of the greatest presidents of the United States was FDR. FDR, with all his health challenges, was able to shepherd the American economy during the Great Depression and the Second World War. And because of the quality of his ideas, America became a superpower. The accident that confined Mwai Kibaki to a wheelchair did not confine his abilities to come up with robust solutions that made Kenya to record double-digit growth during his stewardship. I can tell you with all sense of confidence that the president we have now is a man of ideas who is robustly imbued with the capacity. Leadership is about competence. We are not asking you not to question the eligibility of your president's condition, but there is this mischievous fixation on the president's health status. We are not preparing for the Olympics, but an institution that builds on the superiority of ideas. And Your Excellency, this is a man who, when he became the governor of Lagos State in 1999, Lagos was a monstrosity, a huge slum. When you are coming into Lagos through Maryland, there is even a statue that says, "This is Lagos." No one welcomes you to Lagos. The monthly IGR of Lagos was 750 million. For us from the north, a lot of our brothers kept going to the law school in Lagos in the 80s for Peer of Lagos. The Peer of Lagos used to be the beginning of wisdom. But because of the quality of his leadership, ably assisted by the likes of the Minister of Finance, the monthly IGR of Lagos is now 61 billion naira per month. Lagos, as a last year, was the fifth largest economy in Africa, and projected to be the third largest economy by the end of the decade. So this is a man that we need to all rally around. We need to support. Yes, our economy is going through turbulence, but is it confined to Nigeria alone? Let's talk a global picture. Is any economy immune from the challenges of the times? So I urge you to be fair to this poor man. There's no doubt that every thriving economy draws life from the quality of reforms adopted to offer the people avenues to translate their business ideas into formidable enterprises. The Pebec is an enabler for the MDAs in government. Our role requires a unified and collaborative effort across the councils and MDAs, and we cannot afford to look away. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the long-term success of Pebec hinges on our ability to institutionalize reform capabilities, foster deep collaboration across government, and maintain a commitment to continuous improvements. These reforms must become ingrained in the fabric of our public institutions. By doing so, we pave the way for sustained progress and lasting impact that will outlive us all, creating a better Nigeria for our children and their children afterwards. Our conscience from this point cannot rest solely on the metrics we have designed to actualize our plans. We must be driven by the dreams of every citizen who aspires to grow their business, every citizen who looks to us for direction towards a future of prosperity. These are peculiar times for developing solutions to improve the ease of doing business. We are not here to flow with the tide, but to find the direction of the wind and understand what must be done to guide the ship of our nation to the land of opportunities. I have no doubt in your nautical skills to achieve this. I wish to once again congratulate the winners and urge those struggling to rise up to the challenge of leadership. At the risk of sounding repetitive, Nigeria is the future of Africa. Wherever Nigeria goes, that's where Africa goes. The burden is on all of us. Leadership is a collective responsibility. Leadership is about making sacrifices. Leadership is about rising like the bird phoenix from the ash.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. Please distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Vice President. Thank you, Your Excellency, sir. Excellency, please, we crave your indulgence. Just give us some seconds, because you will be having some group photographs with our distinguished guests. So please, the first row will take the pictures with the Vice President first. And then afterwards, stakeholders and partners would now come for the second group photograph. Thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful day. Special thanks to all the organizers. Special thanks to our partners, our media partners, stakeholders, the guests, our panelists, each and everyone that has been a part of this very, very, very educating and, of course, highly entrepreneurial program. And thank you so much, and may God continue to guide and protect us. See us some other time, but for now, we say thank you very much, and God bless us all. Please, let's get the national anthem ready, because just after the second group photograph, we'll take the national anthem and bring this event to a close. Thank you so much. May we now invite other stakeholders to please kindly come join us for this wonderful, historic, and of course, most compelling group photograph. Thank you. And finally, we take the last group photograph with the Reform Champions. The Reform Champions. Those who are honored here, please, as fast as possible, please. The Reform Champions. Just the Reform Champions alone, with His Excellency, Mr. Vice President. Thank you so much, Mr. Vice President. The national anthem, please. The national anthem.